Is Disney shifting to the right? A division of Walt Disney Studios, Pixar, pulled a transgender storyline in its upcoming animated series Win or Lose. The series follows a co-ed softball team as they gear up for the championship game. Each episode features a different character. As first reported in The Hollywood Reporter, the transgender character has not been written out, but a short dialogue touching on her gender has been axed.
The change follows years of criticism Disney received for including LGBTQ characters and storylines, or pulling them off badly. Moreover, Disney's former chief executive Bob Chapek drew the ire of liberals in 2022 for refusing to speak out loudly against Florida's legislation described by liberals as being anti-gay. Disney's new chief, Robert Iger, broke with his predecessor and said some of the company's content had in fact become too political. He ordered a review of projects in the works. Editor-in-chief of the Post-Millennials, Libby Emmons, posted, quote, "Another win for the good guys." Florida's Voice host Drew Steele reacted thusly.
Disney has just removed a transgender storyline from its upcoming Pixar series called Win or Lose. They cited respect for parents as the reason. Huh. Okay. According to The Hollywood Reporter, here is the quote from Disney. Quote, "When it comes to animated content for a younger audience, we recognize that many parents would prefer to discuss certain subjects with their children on their own terms."
Well, look, I think it is definitely clear that Disney, like other entertainment companies, is responding to a changing political environment, or maybe just a recognition that the political environment was never exactly what they thought it was, in terms of going in a very culturally progressive direction in terms of the content. I think they have lost some viewers, supporters, etc., for being perceived as so tied to whatever we're calling it, wokeness, cultural progressivism, social liberalism, and are trying to frantically retool to get rid of that perception. Do I personally care if there's a transgender character in whatever Pixar show? Of course not. And in fact, I do think it's good to have characters from different backgrounds and perspectives, but the problem is it's often done in a very ham-fisted or lazy way where the character's identity is the whole thing about them, and they there's no it's very skin deep and it feels very fake. Honestly, I think that's what people object to more than with the existence of LGBTQ, who obviously exist in real life. So some of these characters would check off those boxes, but it's like when that's their entire personality, and it's like it feels like it's an agenda. It feels like we're putting this in here to make some social statement, and we want you to love this person or this character for just this attribute. I think that's what turns some people off.
I think there are two separate points there. I mean, I think that good drama and good art is rarely propagandistic, right?
Yes.
It is mostly about nuance and complexity
100%.
and the shades of grey in human experience. So I take that point. I think I am more on edge about this decision on Disney's. Not that I think it's going to bring, the world crashing to a halt, but I would argue, I think that popular culture in general has helped more tolerant attitudes or more broader acceptance over many, many years. I mean, I was just thinking about this morning because I knew we were discussing this. In the 1960s, the Peanuts comic strip introduced Franklin, who was the first black character in that comic strip, and it was a big thing, and there were papers in the South that didn't want to run the comic strip and all of that. Things like that, or all the way up to in TV aimed at adults. People did think Ellen DeGeneres was going to end her career by coming out at the time that she did that. People can have whatever view they have of her, but that was, I think, a cultural moment. And so when it gets into the realm of corporations striking out storylines for fear of making people uncomfortable, I would argue actually that art of any kind has often makes people uncomfortable, and that's no bad thing. And whether that is an animated series aimed toward children or something that is aimed at adults, I think that discomfort is not something that we should run away from.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It just has to be done well. The criticism of Disney now and what they've done with Star Wars, for instance, the criticism coming from conservatives best realized in that hilarious South Park episode, which I cannot repeat many of the lines for,
Lots of South Park episodes you can't
mocking
repeat.
Kathleen Kennedy's tenure in charge of Star Wars. The criticism being that the idea for all these kinds of progressive executives running in charge of these narrative storylines is, let's bring in a sassy female character who maybe is a minority or maybe is gay, and have them just be better at everything than everyone else, and have them have no depth to them except that they're gay or black or a woman, and that is very grating and is not a good idea.
No, there is,
It's
and,
that kind
and
of
there
thing,
is
which we
criticism.
want to avoid.
To be fair, there is criticism also of that kind of thing from the left. There's a phrase that I hope I can use that is used critically by black activists of the magical Negro,
Yeah,
which
it's
is
the same.
the idea
Yeah,
that,
sure.
that you introduce a character who is black and imparts these sort of oracular pearls of wisdom, and then the white person realizes the error of his or her ways and pays tribute to the wisdom. And it's the basic argument.
Do you
is it's
remember
incredibly
the
patronizing.
manic pixie dream girl trope from films from like the aughts, of the Natalie Portman character from Garden State is a good example. Several of those who like cause the main character to have some revelation about themselves, and they're really quirky in a way that no one real is in real life, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do get
It's just
interested
lazy
in what-
writing.
what-
It's,
yeah,
it can be,
exactly.
apart from any ideological, it's just lazy, and just have more interesting, well-rounded characters who have attributes who can check these boxes, but have something compelling about them.
Well, and the danger in the lazy writing, as the example that I was talking about, is it is patronizing to the group that often white liberal people are in a rather paternalistic sense, thinking that they're trying to help.
I always think of a great example of this. I'm a big fan of, our viewers know I'm a huge nerd type person. I love the cartoon show Avatar: The Last Airbender on Nickelodeon, which has a very powerful character who is blind, but who has, they all have magic powers to move water and earth and fire. She's an earthbender, and she's blind, but she, like the moles who crawl through the ground, like she can sense the vibrations. But she's not, like, she's really good at what she does, but she's not good at everything because she is blind. When they go flying through the air, she jokes about how she can't see anything. She has no idea where they're flying, and it's real and human and well done, and she has advantages and disadvantages. And often these kinds of supposed to be making a woke point characters have no flaws.
Right,
Because they think if they had flaws, you'd be saying being gay is a flaw or being black is a flaw or something like that, when it's just not, that is not well done.
No, we don't want one-dimensional characters, whatever the drama or whatever the purported purpose is. I mean, I think that any kind of TV, movies, or whatever, where the only thing, where it's just presented as a parable rather than an actual human story, I've limited time for.
Indeed. That was a fun discussion. Tell us what you think in the comments. Stay tuned, more Rising right after this.